is up? What is up, y'all? Coffee with your boy. Welcome. Ooh, that's that good stuff. That Folgers Black Silk. Let's go. Drink your coffee only black. Keep them calories out of your life. Oh, the sun's in my eyes there. Check it out. Man, a lot of stuff's happening. They're talking about, looking at reversing lease purchase programs. They won't be able to do them anymore. That's wild. Will it happen? Will it not happen? This new guy that's coming into the being the Secretary of Transportation or whatever, he's looking at, or he's the guy that's like from Fox or whatever. Looks like another unqualified person. You know, we went from Elaine Chao to Pete Buttigieg to this guy, lame, right? Why can't we get anybody to come in that has knowledge in the trucking sector, transportation side of the industry? What's crazy to me is that they give that person the responsibility over like maritime sea stuff. They give it to them over the airways and planes and things. They give it to them over the infrastructure and the roadways. They give it to them over trucking and transportation, FMCSA, the DOT, all of these different things that is a lot of stuff, and it seems very fragmented that they would take all of that and put it into one thing, one person overseeing all of that. There should be somebody that's over each individual area, in my opinion, and someone that is experienced in the field, right? I saw a video the other day on TikTok with Bob, or I think it's Bob and Brenda, and he was talking about when they did the interview to find out if this guy from Fox is qualified, or any of these people for that matter, that they're putting in positions, right? And again, I'm a pro-Trump person, but at the end of the day, how can you just ask him a bunch of questions to see if he's qualified, right? I would want to know, what did you do in your previous line of work that qualifies you, right? Not just the questions, but let's see the actual, resume. Let's see, when did you work in transportation? When did you work in, whatever they call that, avionics or whatever the airway stuff is, right, with planes? When did you work in roadways? When did you work in maritime? When did you work in all these different areas? And it just seems crazy to me that somebody could have a resume in all of those different fields and industries. I just don't think that that's a good idea. Somebody needs to be in charge of each individual sector, and then maybe they report to somebody, right? But I guess during this confirmation hearing, it was never brought up about trucking, never brought up about transportation. Trucking wasn't even mentioned. They talked about everything under the sun except that. So that seems like they're not even concerned with it. I did see a video the other day, though, that Trump was talking to somebody, and he said, make sure that we help the truckers because they're being ripped off by brokers. Brokers sitting in office, he's not really doing that much, and he's getting a large portion of the money, and the truckers need help. I want you to make sure you help them, okay? I don't know who he was referring to, who he was talking to, but okay, cool. So they seem to, the protest got somebody's attention that brought that up to Trump, so he's aware of it, right? Now, do I think that brokers are our number one problem out here? No, I don't. I think if you have a trucking business and you're relying solely on brokers, kind of like I was, our customers left, it's tough to compete. When the market gets slim, you go to brokers. The brokers that you have good relationships with, they get kicked out. Brokers have high turnover also, just like trucking. Trucking, the average guy turns over every 3 years, right? He gets out of the industry because it's rough, high divorce rate, terrible health, your life expectancy goes way down as a CDL driver over the road. Now, when you get into local jobs and things change a little bit, but it's kind of crazy to think that the number one focus of all drivers are brokers ripping them off. When you could go to companies who have customers, you can get with people and make better rates, better money, get bigger discounts, because you get them when you have buying power in any business. I don't care what business you're in. When you have buying power on fuel, on tires, on whatever, and when you can come together as a group and say, okay, I've got, there's different levels to it, 100 trucks, 500 trucks, 1,500 trucks, 5,000 trucks. You're going to get a different level of, in that door, entryway into that customer, into that shipper, into that receiver, into that area, into that port, into that project, into that job, into that government job, into, those tire discounts, those maintenance discounts, those fuel discounts. The guy that has 10 trucks is not going to get the same fuel discount that the guy that has 5,000 trucks gets. I'm sure FedEx buying fuel gets it at a totally different rate than, you know, let's say Landstar, for instance. And Landstar gets it at a totally different rate than, say, I did in my business, right? So all of those things come together and create, but do you have a good business or not? And that's in any industry. I don't care how big you get it. Once you get government contract, once you do this, once you do that, once you have buying power, once you're doing certain things, once you get certain customers, once you're able to sell and appeal to certain people based on the size of your business, you're going to be able to cut costs in different ways across the board. So I don't know that brokers are our biggest problem. I think we have many problems. But one of them is definitely going to be that the person at the top is not, you know, competent, and the regulations that they're putting forth, I don't even think they really understand them. I don't think the people that write the regulations really understand them. I don't think that, and from what I've gathered looking online, some of the independent studies and research show that, you know, the 14-hour rule, the 11-hour rule creates rushing, creates more accidents. Now we have a lot more drivers on the road than we had back in the 80s and things like that. So the data is kind of skewed. I don't have all of the data in front of me. What I can tell you is that it seems like, you know, with the visas, the different people coming in, the unexperienced people coming in, you know, they're going to get replaced by autonomous trucks anyway with drive-in stuff. But when you get into not having technical skill to be able to do the job, and the job is depressing, where you don't have good food, access to good amenities across the country, parking, and you create such a stressful job where everybody's rushing to beat this clock, I think it's just a melting pot of disaster. So parking, you know, dealing with vetting the drivers, which they did have a lot of regulation come in recently to eliminate a lot of CDLs for the drug testing, which needed to be done. But you have that needed to be done. You have roadway issues that they need to get the infrastructure under control. Parking needs to be able to, something needs to be done with that. And then vetting these drivers, not putting dipshits on the road. There needs to be a better vetting process. It needs to be a little bit harder to become a CDL driver. It's just too easy. Everybody thinks, and if you think it's difficult, go to CDL school. It's expensive, you know, medical card, training, having to put your time in with a crappy company, or one of the big conglomerates like a Crest or a Swift or a, you know, whoever will hire you in the beginning to get your over-the-road experience. Yes, those things do suck, but it's still extremely easy. Extremely easy. So what does that mean for us? It means that I think the barrier to entry needs to be a little bit more difficult to get in. I think that you need to have properly vetted people and highly trained people to do the job. And then we need to incentivize the people by paying them better, as well as we need to give them amenities, as well as we need to give them, you know, bring it back to a fun, popular, creative environment and industry like it was back in the day. And I think that if you do those things, we're going to have a better, cohesive environment for everybody to work in. Now, is that ever going to get done? Hell no. I don't think so. I think that we're going to stay overregulated. The conglomerates, the big companies, the JB Hunts of the world, they're lobbying for it. That's the only people that can get the attention of the higher ups, the presidents, whatever. And they're the only ones that are going to be able to have a say, and they pretend to be the gatekeeper or the voice for the rest of us, which is kind of funny. You become that big, it's almost like the cartel, you're too big to fail. And when you become that big, you do get to wield the power and have the attention of the people and be at the table and talk about what needs to be talked about in however manner you wish to present it and control it. So there's not much the small guys like us can do about it.